Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a fascinating route into the world of electric luxury, specifically the 2025 Audi Q4 E-Tron. But look, we're setting aside the test drives, the usual luxury feature rundowns. Our focus today is purely financial.
That's right. For you, the listener, we're really looking past that list price, trying to decode the actual true cost of ownership.
Because what looks like one number.
Yeah, it's actually this global maze. You've got local rules, federal policies. It drastically changes the real price depending on, well, are you buying in Milan or Miami?
Exactly. So our mission today,
Yeah.
very concrete. We want to pull out those financial nuggets, the potential savings, sure, but also, crucially, those unavoidable hidden costs.
Right. We're digging into actual sales documents, incentive details across the U.S. and Europe.
We're going to show you not just how that, say, $7,500 U.S. tax credit works, but also why a mandatory piece of paper, a document preparation fee, might cost you nearly $1,000 just based on your zip code.
It's pretty wild when you see the numbers side by side.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Segment 1, the tale of two incentive structures. We've got two very different ways governments are trying to get people into this Q4 E-Tron.
Very different philosophies, really.
You've got Europe with this highly targeted sort of immediate discount system, and then the U.S., which is much more about tax relief down the line. Let's start across the pond. Italy, specifically.
Okay, so what's really interesting there is Audi's strategy. They've actually introduced a specific new model called the Custom Edition.
Custom Edition.
Yeah, and it seems specifically engineered, like designed to hit the exact price cap they need to qualify for these big Italian state incentives.
Ah, okay. So they built a car for the incentive rule. What's the price?
The list price for this Custom Edition is set precisely at €42,690.
Okay, that number is obviously key because it unlocks potentially huge savings, right? But it's not just for anyone walking in.
No, definitely not. It's tightly regulated. It's entirely means tested.
Means tested? But how?
So the maximum incentive, which is pretty staggering, €11,000.
11,000. Wow.
Yeah, but you only get that if your household meets a specific income threshold. They need an IC income under €30,000, and you have to trade in a specific type of older car.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned IZ and also trading in an older car, a Euro 5. For listeners maybe outside Italy, what do those mean exactly? Because they sound like the gatekeepers here.
Absolutely. So, IZ, that stands for Indicatore dell'Attuazione Economica Equivalente. It's Italy's standardized way of measuring a household's overall economic situation, like a specific means test indicator.
So it ensures the biggest discounts go to lower income folks. Makes sense.
Exactly. And the trade-in. You have to scrap a Euro 5 thermal vehicle. That basically means an older gasoline or diesel car that meets certain previous generation emission standards.
So the government isn't just pushing EVs, they're actively trying to get older, dirtier cars off the road at the same time.
Precisely. It's a dual goal.
Okay, so that income requirement plus scrapping an older polluter, that makes hitting the full €11,000 discount sound, well, pretty tough for many people.
It does narrow the field for the maximum amount, yeah. But even the next tier down is still substantial.
What's that?
If your income level falls between €30,000 and €40,000, the bonus drops a bit, but it's still €9,000. Again, you still need that Euro 5 trade-in, though.
€9,000 is still a huge chunk off the price.
It really is. But here's where Audi got really clever with the regulations. They found a way for buyers to customize the car without losing the incentive.
Wait, how? Doesn't adding options usually push the price over the cap?
Normally, yes, but the source material is explicit on this. Optional packages, like, say, the Business Advanced Pack for an extra €2,000, or the Sporty S-Line DAC for $4,000.
Yeah.
They are specifically not counted in that base price calculation for the state incentive.
Seriously? So you can add thousands in options and still qualify based on the lower base price?
That's exactly right. It allows buyers to get the features they want, add some luxury, without breaking that critical €42,690 threshold and losing the big discount.
That seems remarkably consumer-friendly for navigating strict rules. Almost like gaming the system, but legally.
It's smart compliance, definitely, a way to meet the letter of the law while still offering flexibility.
Okay, now let's pivot. Contrast that very direct, immediate, means-tested discount system in Italy with the U.S. approach, which is all about tax credits, right? future relief.
Correct. In the U.S., the 2025 Q4 E-Tron qualifies for up to a $7,500 federal EV tax credit.
Up to. Keywords.
Key words, exactly. Because the big difference here is timing and, frankly, certainty. Unlike getting euros knocked off the price at the dealership, this U.S. credit depends on the buyer's income falling below certain IRS thresholds.
Which we should probably mention are fairly high for individuals and couples, but they exist.
Right. And the vehicle itself has to meet manufacturing and price criteria, which the Q4 E-Tron does for 2025. But crucially, it's a credit, not cash back.
Let's make that super clear. Say I buy the Q4, I qualify for the full $7,500 credit. How does that actually work come tax time?
Okay, so because the credit is non-refundable, it directly reduces your tax liability dollar for dollar.
Meaning the amount you owe the government.
Exactly. So, simple example. If you owe, say, $10,000 in federal taxes for that year, this $7,500 credit reduces what you owe down to $2,500.
Okay. But what if I don't owe that much tax?
That's the catch. If you only owe, let's say, $5,000 in federal taxes, you can only use $5,000 of the credit. It wipes out your tax bill, which is great. But the remaining $2,500 of the credit, it's just lost. It doesn't carry over. You don't get it as a refund.
So you really need to have sufficient tax liability to actually benefit from the full $7,500.
You do. And you have to file a specific form, IRS Form 8936. So it's definitely relief, but it's not guaranteed cash in your pocket when you buy the car. It depends entirely on your tax situation later.
It feels like a system designed more to reward those who already pay significant taxes, rather than helping someone who might need the cash up front the most. Different philosophy entirely.
Completely different. Although the U.S. system does have some other perks that help with running costs.
Like what?
Well, being a zero-emissions vehicle, the Q4 E-Tron is often exempt from state or local road taxes, which can save a bit each year.
Okay.
And Audi US throws in a pretty nice complimentary charging deal. 250 kilowatters free at Electrify America fast charging stations. That's good for up to 2 years.
That's actually quite useful. 250 kilowatts gets you, what, maybe 800-ish miles of driving, roughly?
Something like that, depending on conditions. It's a tangible value, helps ease that initial range anxiety, especially for someone new to EVs.
Okay, good points. Let's move into segment 2 then. Let's look closer at the actual machine getting those big European incentives, that Q4 E-Tron Custom Edition. What exactly are buyers getting for that incentive-friendly price?
Right. We need to understand the balance Audi struck here between capability and, well, cost-cutting to meet the price cap.
But it sounds like it's not some bare-bones compliance car. It's still a proper Audi EV, right? What's under the hood, so to speak?
Yeah, it's definitely respectable. It uses the 40 e-tron powertrain configuration that gives you 150 kilowatts, which is about 204 horsepower.
Okay, decent power for a crossover this size.
Right. And it's paired with a 63 kilowatt battery pack. Usable capacity is likely a bit less, maybe high 50s.
And the range on that?
Officially, under the European WLTP cycle, it's declared at 411 kilometers.
Which is about 255 miles.
Yeah.
But we know WLTP is usually optimistic compared to U.S. EPA figures.
And it usually is, yes. The EPA figure would likely be lower, maybe in the 220, 230 mile range. Performance-wise, top speed is limited to 160 kilometers per hour, about 100 mile per hour, so adequate for family use.
So that 63 kilowatt battery and, say, mid-200s mile range, how does that stack up? Is that considered long range these days or more standard?
That's a really important point. While, 411 kilometer WLTP or maybe 230 miles EPA is perfectly fine for most daily driving and commuting.
Yeah.
It definitely places this specific Q440 e-tron model in the, let's say, mid-range or standard range category for luxury EVs today.
Right. Not competing with the Teslas or Lucids offering 300, 400 miles plus.
Exactly. It's not meant to be a range champion with a massive 90-plus kilowatt battery. This smaller battery is clearly a strategic choice to help keep that base price down under the Italian incentive cap.
Makes sense, cost control measure. But one area they didn't seem to skimp on is charging speed, right?
No, that's where it still feels quite premium. The DC fast charging capability is rated at 165 kilowatts.
Which is pretty quick.
It's very good, yeah. That kind of speed means you can theoretically replenish the battery from, say, 10% state of charge up to 80% in just about 24 minutes.
Okay, that's fast enough for road trips to feel practical, stopping for a quick coffee and charge.
Absolutely. Especially if you're using those free Electrify America sessions in the US or similar networks in Europe, it makes longer journeys much more viable.
So fast charging is solid. What about the standard kit inside the custom edition? Did they strip out all the nice tech to hit that price?
Surprisingly, no. It seems pretty well equipped, actually. Standard features include 19-inch alloy wheels, full LED lighting front and back.
Yeah.
Inside, you get the 10.25-inch digital driver display, Audi's virtual cockpit, basically, and a pretty large 11.6-inch central touchscreen for the infotainment.
Okay, that's good tech. Connectivity.
Yep. Crucially, it includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Standard, plus wireless phone charging, induction charging. Those are things people really expect now.
Definitely. What about safety stuff?
All the legally mandated driver aids are there, of course. Things like adaptive cruise control, emergency braking, including for turns and reversing. But the more advanced level 2 assisted driving features, like lane centering assist, that's still listed as an optional extra.
Got it. So solid standard features, good charging. Seems like a capable package, even at that specific price point.
It does. They balanced it well.
But now we need to talk about the money you spend after you agree on that initial price.
Yeah.
Especially in the U.S. The confusing, sometimes infuriating world of dealer fees and disclaimers.
Oof, yes. The fine print.
This is where transparency kind of breaks down, right?
Yeah.
Especially for U.S. buyers trying to figure out their actual out-the-door cost. So, segment 3, the financial fine print, hidden costs, and really regional shockers.
Yeah, if you actually, dig into the source materials, the dealer websites in the U.S., there are pages and pages of disclaimers.
Which nobody reads.
Which almost nobody reads. It becomes very clear what that advertised MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, always excludes.
Okay, list them out.
State sales tax, obviously, title and registration fees, any applicable emissions or smog fees, finance charges if you're getting a loan. And the big one we flagged earlier, the document preparation fee, sometimes called a doc fee.
And this doc fee, it's mandatory, right? You can't just say, I'll do the paperwork myself.
Nope. It's presented as a non-negotiable charge for the dealer handling the sales, contract, title, registration paperwork. You pay it to buy the car.
Okay, but let's focus on this fee because the variation is just nuts. The source material mentioned Georgia at $999, nearly $1,000 for paperwork. How is that even legal? Is there no cap?
And that's the absolute aha moment here. The reason for this wild variation, from under $100 to almost $1,000, it all comes down to state regulation, or more accurately, the lack of it in some places.
So some states step in to protect consumers.
Exactly. States like California and New York, they have laws that cap the maximum amount a dealer can charge for this specific fee. That's why you see the low numbers there. California's cap is $85. New York's is $175.
Okay, reasonable. But then you get to other states.
And the gloves come off. In states where the legislature hasn't capped it or the cap is very high, dealers have enormous latitude to set this fee, and, well, they often set it quite high.
Give us the examples again from the sources. It's shocking.
Okay, so Texas was mentioned around $225, still somewhat moderate, but just significantly. Maryland, $799.
Yeah.
Florida, $899. Oklahoma and Kansas were both listed around $699. And yeah, Georgia was at the top end in the source material at $999, though interestingly, the disclaimer noted it was included in their advertised price, which is slightly more transparent at least.
But still, a $999 mandatory fee, that's critical for buyers to understand. We're not talking about optional extras like floor mats here.
Not at all.
This is a non-negotiable dealer charge that can swing your final purchase price by over $900 purely based on which state's dealership you signed the papers in, completely separate from taxes or registration costs.
It really highlights how complex that final on-the-road price can be in the U.S., far beyond the MSRP.
It really does. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. What does this all really mean for someone considering a Q4 E-Tron?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that the advertised price is just the very beginning of the story.
Right. Whether you're in Europe trying to maximize that potential 11,000 euro discount by carefully choosing the custom edition and meeting in-Comitraden rules.
Or you're in the U.S. figuring out if your tax situation lets you actually use the full $7,500 credit and then bracing for potentially hundreds, maybe even close to $1,000 in mandatory dealer fees. The true cost of entry for this car is incredibly dependent on your location and your personal circumstances. You absolutely cannot just look at the sticker price online.
Definitely not. And, on a bigger scale, what we're seeing is governments globally pushing hard for EV adoption, which is interesting in itself.
Yeah.
But they're using such vastly different tools to do it. You have the direct income-tested upfront discounts in a place like Italy versus the sort of delayed tax relief combined with these less regulated dealer fees in the U.S.
Which raises a big question, doesn't it? Which approach actually works better? Which one is more effective at getting EVs adopted quickly and broadly across society? Is it the immediate cash or the tax incentive?
That's a huge policy question, and we're seeing the experiment play out in real time. No clear answer yet.
Something for policymakers to chew on. And maybe one final thought for our listeners, building on the tech specs we discussed earlier.
Okay.
The sources mentioned that charging the Q4 E-Tron at home using a standard level 2 charger takes about 10 hours for a full charge, which is fine overnight.
Pretty standard for that battery size, yeah.
But then you have that U.S. perk we mentioned, the 250 kilowatt-hours of free public fast charging with Electrify America.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, is the expectation, especially for a luxury EV buyer in the U.S. getting that perk, that they'll primarily rely on public fast chargers? Or is consistent, albeit slower, home charging still considered the essential baseline for owning an EV like this? Where does that free fast charging fit into the typical ownership experience?
That's a great question. Is the free fast charging a bonus, or is it becoming part of the core value proposition, potentially reducing the need for immediate home charger installation for some? Food for thought.
Definitely something to mull over next time you see an EV advertised, thinking about the total cost and convenience.
Well, thank you for joining us for this financial deep dive into the Audi Q4 e-tron. It's been fascinating to unpack.
It really has. And thanks to all of you for diving deep with us. Please do make sure to follow and subscribe to the Deep Dive channel so you don't miss our next analysis. We'll see you next time.